I booked a simple Airbnb in Boise, close to campus. $70 a night, private suite, basic but clean. I wasn't looking for charm, just Wi-Fi and quiet. The host, Mark, seemed polite but brisk. He gave me the code, explained the Wi-Fi, and that was it. I liked that he didn't linger. For the first 2 nights, nothing stood out. I worked on my research paper, grabbed takeout, and watched shows until I fell asleep. But on the 3rd night, I noticed something odd. The bathroom mirror above the sink was slightly crooked, just a couple of degrees, but enough to bug me. I straightened it. The next morning, it was crooked again. Old houses shift, I thought. The floors creaked, the windows rattled when the wind blew. I tried to ignore it. But that night after my shower, I reached behind the mirror to check the hooks. Instead of a hook, my fingers brushed a smooth edge. A hole, perfectly round, drilled straight through the wall. Inside the gap, I caught a glint of glass. My stomach dropped. A lens. For a long moment, I just stood there with the toothbrush in my hand, telling myself it could be anything. A pipe fitting, maybe a bolt. But deep down, I knew. It was a camera, and it was angled directly at the shower. I didn't touch it again. Instead, I took out my phone, snapped a zoomed-in photo, and that ended any doubt. My first instinct was to march upstairs and confront Mark. But then another thought crept in. If he's watching you, then he knows what you're doing right now. I unplugged my laptop, shoved my notes into my bag, and left the light on in the bathroom like nothing had happened. Then I walked straight out, drove downtown, and sat in a diner until nearly midnight, scrolling through Airbnb's safety page. Hidden cameras were explicitly banned. There was even a hotline. When I called, the rep calmly asked me to email the photo and told me, "Leave the property immediately." I checked into a highway hotel that night. Overpriced, sterile, but safe. A week later, the Boise listing vanished. But the host's profile remained. On one of his other properties, a new review popped up. Nice place, but something about the bathroom mirror made me uncomfortable. That meant someone else had seen it too. Now every time I stay in an Airbnb, I check every mirror. Because I can't stop thinking. If I hadn't touched that mirror, I never would have known. Travel nursing meant moving constantly, and Airbnb usually felt more homey than hotels. My Fresno rental was simple. 1 story, gravel yard, lemon tree and back. On my 3rd night, just after dinner, there was a knock at the door. A man in an Airbnb polo stood there, clipboard under his arm, badge around his neck. "Evening," he said. "Airbnb maintenance. Just need to run a quick smoke detector check, company policy." It didn't sound right. Airbnb never sent anyone mid-stay, but he looked official. Polo badge with a QR code, his name Aaron. Against my better judgment, I let him in. He didn't test a single smoke detector. Instead, he walked slowly through the house, scribbling notes, peeking into rooms. "You here solo?" he asked casually. I said yes, but my gut twisted. He lingered at the back door, tugged the handle, and muttered, "Old locks. Could use upgrading." Then he jotted something down. By the time he left, 20 minutes had passed. Not once had he pressed a smoke detector's test button. That night at 1 a.m., I woke to the sound of the back door handle jiggling. Soft, careful. I knew for a fact I had locked it, which meant someone had unlocked it earlier. The only time it could have happened was when Aaron inspected the door. I called the police. By the time they arrived, whoever it was had vanished. No forced entry, no footprints. The host confirmed she hadn't sent anyone. She sounded rattled, promised to call Airbnb support. A few days later, I saw a post in a Fresno neighborhood Facebook group. Another woman described a man in an Airbnb polo showing up at her rental. Same questions, same shaved head, same clipboard. Nobody knew who he was. Burglar, predator, stalker, I never found out. But now I travel with a rubber door wedge in my bag. Cheap, simple, but the only reason I sleep through the night. When I booked a casita in Sedona, I pictured peace. Red rocks, desert sun, quiet mornings with coffee on the patio. The host, Eric, seemed perfect. Dozens of glowing reviews. Friendly, welcoming, even left me a basket of fruit. But by day 2, he started showing up constantly, fresh towels, banana bread, a hummingbird feeder. Every day he found a reason to drop by. At first I thought he was just generous, but then I noticed small things shifting in the casita. My blinds angled differently, a bottle in the fridge on another shelf. My sneakers closer to the door. I started taking photos before leaving the room. When I compared them later, they confirmed it. Things were moving. Someone was inside when I wasn't home. Then came the night I woke at 2 a.m. The patio door, which I always locked, was open just an inch. A curtain swayed in the desert breeze, and on the counter a dish towel I hadn't used was spread out neatly like someone had placed it there. I called Airbnb's emergency line, whispering into the phone. They told me to call 911 immediately. The police came fast. No forced entry, nothing stolen, just the open patio door. One officer listened to my story, then said firmly, "You should leave tonight." I packed in 20 minutes and drove to a hotel. The next morning, Eric texted, "Sorry, I must have left the patio unlatched when I dropped off a towel last night. My mistake." I never responded. Weeks later, I checked the listing. Still up, still glowing reviews, except one buried halfway down. Host was very attentive, stopped by every day. A little too much for us, but otherwise fine. That word. Attentive. Now, no matter where I stay, I wedge a chair under the door at night. Because some hosts don't need to break in, they already have the key. At 22, I wanted to prove I could travel alone. I saved for months to book a quaint Airbnb in Eureka Springs, a converted carriage house behind a Victorian home. The host was friendly, maybe a little too interested when she learned I was solo. But the place looked just like the photos. Cozy. Safe. Until the second night. The bedroom was upstairs at the top of a narrow staircase. That's when I noticed the door had a bolt lock. But not on the inside, on the outside. A lock meant to keep someone in. It unsettled me, but I told myself it was leftover hardware from storage days. I didn't latch the door. That night at 2 a.m., I woke to floorboards creaking. Measured, deliberate steps, someone in the hallway downstairs. Then silence. I stared at the sliver of light under the door. Whoever was out there wasn't moving, just waiting. And all I could picture was that bolt sliding shut. I grabbed my bag, shoved my laptop inside, and forced the bedroom window open. The frame was narrow, but adrenaline pushed me through. I dropped onto the gravel outside, barefoot, and ran to a gas station down the road. From there, I texted the host. "Emergency came up. Had to leave early." No reply. The next day, I requested a refund from Airbnb and explained everything. They approved it but never removed the listing. To this day, I don't know what would have happened if I'd stayed in that room. Maybe nothing. Maybe something I don't even want to imagine. Now, whenever I check into an Airbnb, I look at every lock, every window, every door, and if I ever see one on the wrong side, I don't unpack. I just leave.